Hey everybody, we've got a special one for you today. We're going to be taking a look at one of the first sort of playthroughs of our upcoming game called This Truth. And I'm just going to kind of walk through it. Still got some bugs, but I figured I would show some progress because it's been a while since we've updated. So here we go. So without getting into the title menus or anything like that, we're just going to jump right in. We've got some audio playing, thanks to Eric Davis doing a great job putting together a sort of futuristic sci-fi type cybery soundtrack. So big ups to him. But basically we start out in this house. Start out looking into the mirror, pondering who we are, right? And as we go along, we pick up an item and we get some dialogue here. And I'm not going to go through too much of this because I want this to be sort of fun for people to play through when they play the game. But as we go along, we open up this portal. Now, moving into our next scene. Oh, we'll have to change that. Looks like that link was to the wrong one. That's okay. We'll go in order. So from there we go into the Earth scene. Okay. So pretend that changed to this level. Like I said, still working out the bugs, but here we are with our good buddy Herman. At this point, we haven't named him yet, but Don wants to go ahead and name Herman. So we'll go through that dialogue. We learn that we are looking for artwork and keys. So as we go through this level, you can see a little bit of this level. There's artwork that we're finding. And as we find that artwork, we realize that, hey, there's a couple more. There's a couple more artworks. But as we come into this area, we find out there's a little bit more story. And once again, we can't fight these enemies yet. What's going on? We learn a fair amount about the enemies and the world that we are in. And once again, when you guys have a chance to play this. Right now, the animations are on super speed because developing on these sort of levels, it's really nice to be able to control the speed of the character. And we have that addressed in a public variable for the character class. But right now, she's just hauling. This makes it a little easier for development just to get the game going a little bit faster, but the pace will be different for the player. Really, at this point, it's fun for the players to see the environment. And then there's the sword. She's going to go ahead and pick up the sword. And as she picks up the sword, now she's equipped with a sword. So now I have a feeling we can go beat those enemies that were throwing off such bad vibes. And this is mobile as well. This game is being built for both iOS and Android. And it will be on the corresponding stores in the first week of November. So now we can destroy these bad guys. Nice. And once again, this is still in dev mode where we're going to set up certain hits so that it's attacking constantly. But right now, it's just a one hit, one kill or destroy. And we've got the keys. And these keys will make a little bit more sense later on. I'm not going to get into those for this because I really want those to be a surprise for the people who are playing. And then, still working out some of the NavMesh agent stuff. These are a little tricky. All right, and we still have to link those, so I'll get to those a little later. And then we go into the fire scene. And this fire, oh, I forgot to go out of play. And then once again, we are prompted with some text about the story, all this stuff going on. And we can keep going and destroy these. There's a little bit of clipping going on. We're still working that stuff out. Once again, still buggy, but working some of that stuff out as we go. This is still a very early version. And then, of course, we destroy them. And now we can sort of venture through. And we'll go into one of these rooms and pick up a key. And some artwork. And yeah, so I'm not going to show the end level, just because I want that to once again be a bit of a surprise. But yeah, so right now it's kind of displaying some of the aspects. Still super buggy, still in the beginning stages. But yeah, we're excited about the progress. It's moving along, and we'll be ready to show everybody the cool release version coming up in November. And then of course we'll grab a key. Cool. Well, so this is kind of where we're at. And there's a cool boss battle that I don't want to show you right now. But once again, we'll let you guys know how that comes along. And that'll be early November. But right now, that's a good gauge of things to come. A little bit of a background synopsis. But yeah, and I'll just go ahead and play through this level a little bit more because it's my favorite. And I really like this part where Dawn, the main character, is meeting this robot for the first time. And she just thinks he's so cute that she wants to name him. And it turns out that he's never been named before. And she names him Herman, which I think is really fun considering he's sort of this guide and this connection. It's sort of a play off the name Hermes. So having the guide named Herman, who's sort of this connector to the greater voices of this universe, I thought was a nice little sentiment. And then to kind of give a little bit more context as well, we can go into the gallery scene. So as you collect these artworks around the game, you'll have this gallery that you populate the artworks in. And this was really fun for me because I got to work with some of the people at the dam and talking about some of the artworks in their collection. And it was really interesting to kind of get into some of the core elements of what this game was trying to talk about and how it relates to the artwork that's on show. And I think one of my favorite sections is this sort of section in here. This idea of the moon being this element of subconscious. And then we have these two pieces here, which are both in reference to this idea of a mirror. And I think the mirror is really strong because it reminds us of this element of an image, right? This one specifically talks about this idea of what happens when you change your image, when you change this photograph, and what that does for the distortion of what you're presenting. And I think that mimics really well with this idea of the mirror, and that this mirror is this tool that's used to gaze upon a version of yourself, and what happens when that version is this idealized version, sort of hinted at this very young female, and that image becomes sort of this distortion of oneself. And I think this mimics really well with this painting right here. It's a really interesting take of the Vanitas. And this is Oystervik, I believe. And it's a painting of a bouquet in a vase. But what's special is that none of these flowers would ever be in bloom at the same time, which creates a very surreal idea of sort of this notion that the Vanitas talks about with things that don't last forever. I think that's a really, really cool take. And so I thought that was beautiful. I wanted to incorporate it, especially in close proximity to this piece about a mirror and this sort of distortion of youth. So I felt like these play really nice off of each other. But yeah, so I don't want to get too much into these other pieces. Maybe at a different video I can talk a little bit more about why these other pieces are in the game. But right now I thought this section was a nice little section to talk about, to sort of set a precedence for a little bit more of the underpinnings of what this game is talking about. So with that, I will catch you guys later, and have a good weekend and rest of your night.